Hello everyone, this is Free Name on YouTube with a video on how to replace the screen on an ASUS model CX1400CN, or its full model number is CX1400CNA-BV0061, manufactured late 2021. Obviously they probably manufactured this over a year or two of time. So what you need to do is open the laptop as fully as it will go, and I started at the top and then realized that actually it's easier to unclip it at the bottom near where it joins the palm rest. So start unclipping the bezel at the bottom and then work your way around the entire screen, just gently unclipping and pulling it up. As you can see from the video, I'm doing it just entirely with my hands. Also, sorry about the video quality and that there's no sound from the environment as well. I was in a place where I couldn't record the sound and I didn't have a mount for the camera. Need to then kind of forcefully, but whilst bending up the corners of the bezel to pull it out and upwards. There are two little tabs that I'm just pointing at, which is what you need to bend the bezel upwards so that they can get past the bracket that is holding the screen or holding the top panel on. Now, these screens are not screwed in, they are glued in. There are two little black tabs at the bottom of the screen towards the hinges that you need to potentially use a screwdriver to get at to start with, or maybe needle nose pliers, and you need to pull very gently and regularly. As you can see, I keep rotating which fingers are kind of putting pressure on the tape. And what you're doing is, if you've ever used like command strips to hold hangers on walls where you don't use nails, when you undo those, you basically stretch the adhesive. So you're pulling this adhesive from underneath the screen, but very slowly, and it's stretching as you pull it, so you're going to be pulling out at least double the length of the screen's height in adhesive, and eventually you'll get to the end and that'll be one side undone. There we go. Then repeat the same on the other side, little black tab from underneath the screen, and pull on it gently, and then keep using your fingers to get traction on the rest of the adhesive as you keep pulling it out. What you don't want to do is go too quickly or pull it at the wrong angle and snap the adhesive, because you'll end up with, you'll be holding a bit of the tape and then the rest of the tape will be underneath the screen. You've got no way to get to it other than potentially cause damage to the old screen or the back panel of the screen by forcefully removing the old screen. So once that's done, you can now just lift out the panel, because the panel is no longer glued in place. And you need to peel away the sticker above the connector on the panel, because the sticker will be holding the connector in place a bit. So before you can undo the connector, you'll definitely need to undo the little bit of tape label that's holding it in place. Then there's a little metal bar that's clipping the connector in place that needs lifting up, and once that's lifted up and hinged out of the way, you can then just pull the connector out from the panel. I'd recommend, when buying a new panel, and you'll see the model number of the one that I had in this machine, is searching eBay or somewhere for that model number, and then making sure that when you buy one that comes with the adhesive strips, so they're already in the right length and the right thickness, rather than you having to find the correct thing separate from the screen purchase. So you'll see here I'll be putting these adhesive strips back where they came from. So these are new adhesive strips which came with the screen that I bought, and they need to go back on the back panel, making sure that you leave the bottom pull tab accessible in the little notched out bit in the metal hinge, so that when you do need to remove the screen in the new screen in the future, if it gets broken again, that you can pull on that adhesive strip and undo the screen. So if you put that adhesive strip too high and you can't get to it because it's underneath the screen, you'll have the same problem I said earlier, where the only way will be to forcefully remove the screen, which will probably damage. Once the adhesive strips are stuck down, you're now ready to put your new screen in place and connect it up. Line the connector up and make sure that it's fully lined up before you put any pressure on it to slide it into where it will live. Once you've then securely connected it, make sure the little metal tab goes over the top to hold it in place. If you can stick down the label that also helps hold it all in place, but you can see on my video that the label just has lost its stickiness and has come undone. Then, when you're ready to stick the screen down, you need to remove the little blue covers from the adhesive. My one, because there was a delay between me sticking the screen down and when I'd put the adhesive strips on, some of the covering was a bit difficult to remove. It's important when you come to put the screen down that you just drop the screen directly down into place rather than sliding it around, because the adhesive will just stick to the screen. So if you're trying to slide it into place and the adhesive sticks, you'll then find it very difficult to move the screen again to readjust where you've placed it. So if you are sliding it around to keep it in place, make sure that you don't put it low enough that it touches the adhesive, or just make sure that you put it down in one swoop in an accurate position. So with mine, I'm holding it with my fingers, and then when it's lined up, I then drop it into place. And then that's now down onto the adhesive, and using something gentle that won't scratch the screen, so your fingers, or you'll see later I used my sleeve just to put a small amount of pressure onto where the adhesive is to stick the screen down fully onto it. If your screen has a film covering, it's now time to remove that. And with a little bit of trouble, especially down in the corners where you need to get it over the hinge, you need to put the bezel back on. So you need to get those pushed down in the corners to be in the correct position, and then I'd start along the top and go around the edge, clipping the bezel back into place. You'll need to go around the screen multiple times just to make sure that it's all clipped in, and you'll see as well in a moment I put the laptop on its side and then close the screen a bit, and then use a screwdriver just to go along the bit that's kind of behind the hinge where you can't get your fingers in, just to also make sure that that's clipped in, and also visually looking at it and making sure that there's no gaps that you can see into the screen. So just make sure that the bezel is fully clipped on all the way around the edge, including the underside. Hopefully this video has been helpful to you. If it has, it would be really helpful to me if you wouldn't mind subscribing to my YouTube channel, You don't need to have the video notifications switched on, but the subscriber numbers really do help. Thanks very much.